Good evening, guys. It's working, bringing you a quick update on EOS. Hope you guys are having a wonderful evening. We're looking at EOS to the US dollar. This is the 4-hour chart on Bitfinex, guys. And EOS, much like Bitcoin, has been sitting here in this wedge, operating here for the last couple of days, getting squeezed tighter and tighter, a series of lower highs, higher lows, reaching the apex here. It did just attempt a small breakout here, got immediately rejected back into the wedge. We're going to have to watch and see how this ends up playing out. But if we go swing high, swing low, we can see why we're getting the rejection right where it is. Get right on the tick there. Yeah, we can see that it's been sitting here finding resistance right here at the 236 fib. So if we do end up getting a decisive break above this, not by a wick like we had back here, but an actual decisive break above this 236, I do think there's a very quick chance or a very high probability that price may break above, build some momentum, break above this 5.20, 5.35 resistance area, possibly hitting up the 382. But I think it more than likely is going to come up and possibly hit this resistance area here, sitting at about 560, 558, somewhere thereabouts. And at that point, guys, it either going to get rejected back down, possibly start bouncing off this end here between 5.35. Hopefully, support or what was resistance would act as support, and we can start consolidating in a new zone. That's going to be a very bullish indication if that does end up happening, guys. To the downside, of course, we're always watching out for a possible fake. A bull trap, trapping people high, while the market makers take the price right back down. So we're going to keep an eye out for that right now. But as I said, EOS still does look like it wants to break out. This often happens. We get a quick break, moves sideways, and breaks back down to the other side, or does come back into the wedge, bounce off the bottom, and then another break right back up. But either way, guys, almost like a caged tiger. It just looks like it wants to get out in one direction or another. We're going to have to wait and see how it plays out. I told you guys, I believe in the last update on Bitcoin, we're going to watch these corners, these wedge. Anytime you see a pattern like that, I immediately come up, find the highest wick on the corner here, which is going to be right here. That's where I'm going to watch for that reversal pattern. That's where I'm going to watch for that double top. So price coming up, if we can clear that double top, so that's sitting at about 5.32. If we can clear that 5.32, guys, I think there's a very quick shot up to 5.59. That is not a does not look like a very strong resistance in my opinion. It may be, we'll have to wait and see, but I do think there's a real good possibility that we can just come straight up here and hit at least 5.80, 5.81, somewhere thereabouts into this order block, and that will be a very strong resistance in my opinion. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out if it gets up there. Looking to the downside, if we do end up getting faked out, guys, we're going to be watching this wick right here, sitting at about 4.63. That'll be below this demand zone down here between 4.73, 4.67. If price does break below this prior wick, I think it's immediately coming down to 450. 450 is the last major resistance between this major demand zone down here between $4 and 3.50. If 450 does break, guys, there's a small chance we get a break here at 4.28 like we saw right back here. But I think more than likely it's going to break right back down to $4 if that does end up breaking down, guys. If that 450 zone does break down, if we do break to the side, guys. So it does look like EOS is getting ready to break out. It's going to be very interesting to see if we can get out of this range. Of course, it's been trading within this range here for the last few days right here, just back and forth, and we know if we go look all the way back, guys, this is a very, very common range that EOS has been trading in since about August the 13th, so almost a month straight now. Just keeps coming right back to this zone. Excuse me, I'll get a drink of water real quick, guys. Okay. Once this thing gets moving, guys, there's very high opportunity for both a bullish and very bearish scenario. If I come out and put my Elliott hat on, how can I count this as an Elliott trader? Well, that's a couple different ways. I'll start with the most bearish. As a bear, I'm looking at this correction here as an ABC coming from 5 waves down, 5 larger waves down over here. So what I'd be looking at, you can probably see it a little better if I pull out the daily chart. Pull out to the daily chart, guys. What are we looking at? Of course, we would have 5 waves down, the ending of the 5th wave being right here. So starting from there, we would have our ABC correction. So this would all be an A, B, and down for the C. And that almost looks like a perfect textbook ABC correction, so it's hard to argue with that if you're a bear. I'm not saying that's the correct count, but I'm just saying, you know, it does look extremely technical from this point. So if that's in fact the case, what are we going to be looking at? Well, we're going to be looking at another, the start of 5 waves down, which of course would start with 5 subwaves. What do we have so far? Well, it looks to me like we've got a very clear 1, 2. This would be down for the 3. And now we're looking at, and of course this would be the 4 somewhere in here. possibly we might be looking at an A, B, back down for the C to complete the 4, and then back down for the 5. That's a very plausible count, guys. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying this is something that we need to be extremely aware of. If this does end up being the count, what are we going to look for as a target for that 5th? That 5th is going to be targeted somewhere about, right, let me get it right on here, guys. If assuming that 4 ends where it is, we're looking at a 5th wave target somewhere in the neighborhood of 3.20. That would be a 1-to-1. Now, we know EOS is very famous for one of two things. Very famous for an extended 5th wave or a shortened 5th wave. It's very rare that you actually get a very technical 1-to-1 5th wave. So usually it's a very extended or very shortened. So that being said, with the amount of support that's sitting here, this demand zone at $4 to $3.50, in my opinion, I don't think price is going to go below that. I think if it does break down, and I'm not saying it's going to break down, guys, but if that bearish scenario does break down, I think we're going to be looking at this $4 to 3.50 zone, and that's going to be an extremely good buy, in my opinion, if we do ever end up getting down there. And I think just like it did before, when price got down to that area before, right here, we came down, we touched it, and immediately impulsed right back up, guys. So I would expect something similar to happen if price ever gets down there, and I certainly will have buy orders. I do have buy. I tell you guys this every time I talk to EOS. My buy orders are stacked between $4 and $3.50, stacked in there. I don't know if they'll ever get filled, but that's where they're stacked. Looking at this from a bullish point of view, it's a little more difficult to get a count. However, it's not impossible. So if I'm a bull, I'm looking at this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up. Again, there's that shortened 5th that we would be talking about. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's that shortened 5th to complete the 5. And now we're looking at an ABC down. So can I get an ABC down out of this? Well, if I zoom in here to the 1 hour, it's a little bit easier. I have to dig, but it's there. And it's technical, but it's there. All right, so if I come down here, I look at my 1 hour, I've got my A, I've got my B, and I've got my C. And let me come pull down here, all the way down here for my C. There we go. And I've got my C wave. Now, it would to dig 5 waves out of that A. Can I get 5 waves? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I can get 5 small waves out of the A. So again, that's technical. How about the B? B is easy. Got A, B, and C to complete that B wave. And now the C wave is where it gets a little convoluted, but we know the C is often the longest and the strongest of the ABC correction, and that certainly is the case in this case. If this is, and again, this is a big if, guys, if this is the correct count, what are we looking at? Well, we need 5 subwaves. How do we get 5 subwaves? Well, I can see them right here. Well, a very small 1, 2. Very impulsive looking 3, 4, and down for the 5. And once again, if this is in fact correct, what do we have? We have a shortened 5th wave, very technical, or that is technical and also very common again for EOS to have that shortened 5th. So if that is in fact the case, guys, we've got a shortened 5th that completes our C. And if that's in fact the case, what are we looking at? We're looking at a 5 waves going up now. So starting down here, we've got our 1, 2, and now we're up for the 3. And then, of course, we'll be doing 4, something like that. And until we get more structure, guys, that's going to just kind of disregard. I'm just kind of putting that 3 up there for now. But until we get more structure, right now, it's got a subwave 1, 2, still technical, a deep correction, but still technical, and coming back up for the 3. And if we can break above this prior high here, if we can break above about 515 of this structure that's been holding this down, if we can break above that, guys, I do think there's a possibility that this thing starts to impulse. If we can get some volume coming up, I think that's a real possibility. If not, I think this thing is probably going to just break down. So those are the 2 possibilities, guys. Those are the 2 bullish and bearish scenarios. I know some people would question this as this really a 3 and this really a 5. Well, you know, if I go swing low, swing high, if I pull out here my 3, look at this, my 3, for example. Let's see. If we go 1, 2, and get right on there for the 3. Yeah, that's a very, no, I don't have it on there. Let me actually go ahead and pause it for a second, guys. It'll take me a minute to find it. Okay, sorry about that, guys. One thing led to another. I had to pause the video there for about 5 minutes. But anyway, where was I? We're looking at this, the count, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down inside this C wave to complete the C wave, if this is in fact the count, and then we'd be starting a 5 waves up. So of course we'd be looking at 1. Well, sorry about that. we're looking at 5 waves up. We're going to be looking at something like this if we can get it to break out, as I said, and ignore those. We're gonna have to wait and see how the structure breaks out here and see if we get a breakout, and at that point I'll start to draw some targets there. But it does, in my opinion, if we can get above this the top of this zone here at about as I said 5.15, we've got a very good shot at this thing getting validated. But we're gonna have to wait and see. And again, looking to the downside, this thing could be invalidated immediately if price just does turn around and drop below this prior low here, invalidating this entire count and putting us into the bearish scenario that we were referring to earlier. Come over here and we look at our moving averages. Looking at EOS, this is on the 4-hour. We can see the price is getting squeezed tighter and tighter. We can see that the 8 and 21-day EMA are almost right on top of each other. We can see that the Bollinger Bands are getting bottlenecked. We can see that the 50-day moving average and the 200-day moving average are all converging. 55-day moving average is converging with those as well. So very ripe for a breakout, in my opinion, guys. Very probable that we're going to see a breakout here very soon. If not in the next couple hours, certainly in the next 24 hours, in my opinion. And the only question is, which direction is price going to break? If we come over here and we look at short positions, we can see shorts have started to fall off. This is on the 4-hour chart. Shorts have started to fall off over the last 24 hours or so, guys. They are still relatively stacked, don't get me wrong, but they are starting to fall off. If this trend continues, not as it is now, but if this trend does continue, and if I come over here and I look at long positions are starting to actually basically just moving sideways, starting to stack just slightly, but just moving sideways for the most part. But if longs do start to stack and shorts start to fall off and they start evening out, at that point the market's going to be able to move the way it should. At that point the market makers are going to have no incentive to do one thing or another. However, if shorts remain relatively stacked and longs don't really do much of anything at all, at that point then market makers have a very good incentive to run price right up. And we're just going to have to wait and see how it plays out. It's a very interesting little game of chicken that they're playing to see who blinks first. Retail investors have gotten a lot smarter. Retail has held their money, expecting this market to go down. And I think market makers have brought price sideways, expecting them to get scared out of the market and close their short positions. That's not what has happened. Most of them have held, and so now they have a choice. They can either bring price up, squeeze them out of the market, or they can go ahead and bring price right back down, which is what they want to do to get in to buy much lower. But again, as I said in my Bitcoin analysis, the trading is a zero-sum game. For one person to make money, somebody else has to lose money. Always remember that, guys. They are always trying to take your money, and you have to outthink them. You have to have a plan. You have to stick with that plan. That's why you have stop losses, etc., etc., etc. So anyway, guys, the areas I'm going to be looking for, as I said, key areas. We've got to break above this structure here, break above 4.33. If we break above that, I think we can go quickly up to 580 to the downside. We've got to break this prior low, sitting at about 4.60. If that does break down, I think we're going to quickly test this 450, which I do not think is going to hold. If that doesn't hold, I think it's going to be a very quick drop to about $4 if that 450 doesn't hold. That $4 and $350, and that's where my buy orders are stacked, in my opinion. Of course, this descending resistance line, guys, if this bullish scenario does play out, that's going to be a very big test for EOS. It's been that descending resistance line has been a strong line, been tested numerous times, and has been in place for quite a few months. So if we can break above that line, guys, I think once we do, if and when that does happen, it's going to be a very quick rise up to $7. Very quick rise up to $7, in my opinion. But again, let's have to wait and see how this ends up playing out, guys. Looking at the RSI, if I come over here and look at the, there we go. We look at the 4-hour, we can see that the 4-hour, guys, just broke above this resistance line here. This acted as support here. Price broke below. It acted as resistance for the last couple days, and price finally just broke above. That is a bullish sign, guys. We're also seeing, if we come over here and look at EOS, oh, sorry, that's not EOS. There we go. We're looking at EOS. We can see that price broke well above the 21-day EMA. We're sitting at the top of the Bollinger Bands now, so we may see a small correction, but if we can just bust through this, guys, it's sitting right at the 50-day moving average, acting as resistance, when the 8-day EMA and 21-day EMA are acting as support. As long as price closes above the 21-day EMA, and if it can close above the 50, I'm going to be very bullish, but as long as it closes above the 21, I'm going to stay very bullish here in the short term. But if it does drop back below, guys, and we might get that bounce off this top of this Bollinger Band and come right back down. At this point, guys, anything could happen, but the only thing I'm sure of is it does look like a major move may be coming here very, very soon, and we're just going to have to watch and react accordingly. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it there, guys. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please let me know in the comments section below. As always, I'd appreciate an upvote or a like or a re-steam, depending on where you're viewing this. Until next time, guys, please trade safe. Take care of yourselves. This is Working. Signing out.